So today we're going to look at Carl Rogers' conditions, 6 conditions for change, and necessary and sufficient conditions of personality change by Carl Rogers, 1957. So in 1957, Carl Rogers suggested the necessary and sufficient conditions of therapeutic personality change. These would later also be known as 3 core conditions, although that wasn't a term coined by Rogers, as we'll discuss shortly in the lecture. So there's necessary and sufficient conditions of therapeutic change. Carl Rogers suggested for constructive personality change to occur, it is necessary that these conditions exist and continue over a period of time. So 1, 2 persons are in psychological contact, so the counselor and the client. 2, the first, whom we shall term the client, is in a state of incongruence, being vulnerable or anxious. 3, the second person, whom we shall term the therapist, is congruent or integrated in the relationship. 4, the therapist experiences unconditional positive regard for the client. 5, the therapist experiences an empathic understanding of the client's internal frame of reference and endeavors to communicate this experience to the client. 6, the communication to the client of the therapist, empathic understanding and unconditional positive regard is to a minimal degree achieved. So Rogers suggested in 57, no other conditions are necessary. If these conditions exist and continue over a period of time, this is sufficient. The process of constructive personality change will follow. Rogers stated that in order for tension in the personality to be reduced, that is for therapy to occur, the 6 conditions specified are all necessary. The core conditions in the 70s, 80s, the PCT movement in the UK refers to conditions 3, 4, and 5 as core conditions, although that wasn't a term coined by Rogers. Rogers states that in order for tension in personality to be reduced, that is for therapy to occur, the conditions are all necessary. And it was in later work that conditions came to refer to as 3 core conditions: congruence, acceptance, empathy. So the 3 core conditions: congruence, authenticity, and genuineness. It's important the counselor is genuine for both the client and counselor. Accurate empathy. The counselor needs to be accurate as possible, understanding the client's perspective, thoughts, feelings, behaviors, and well-trained to be able to make empathic reflections, coordinated almost like a dance with the client. Unconditional positive regard, non-judgmental stance. The counselor is non-judgmental towards the client. The core conditions are not regarded as skills. The core conditions themselves are attitudes the counselor has towards the client. The attitude is congruence, the willingness to be real and authentic, the attitude of acceptance, the willingness to have an unconditional liking for the client's feelings, the attitude of empathic understanding, a willingness to enter into the client's world and experience it as it's your own without ever losing the as if quality.